Hi there, my name is Travis Erickson, and I serve as an academic advisor for the Beaver College Health Sciences. And I made this spreadsheet for you to help you see how you can use this alternate grading scheme to affect your GPA for the current term, but also how it will affect your overall GPA at Appalachian. The instructions for how to use this form are on the form, but there's a lot going on here. So let me just show you really quickly how it works, then let you dive in and use it. There's a link below to where you can make a copy of this spreadsheet and then use it however you'd like. At the very top, we're looking at the pass that you've achieved at Appalachian. So this is what your GPA is coming into this current term. The way you're going to use this is to go into AppleNet, scroll down to the very bottom in your unofficial academic transcript, and find your transcript totals. What we're specifically looking for here are your total institution GPA hours and quality points. If you take your quality points you've earned at Appalachian and divide that by your GPA hours, that is your total GPA. So for this student right here, they've earned 73 hours and earned 289.3 quality points. It's a pretty high GPA, 3.96. So go ahead and do your own thing. Find your own transcript, enter in your GPA hours, enter in your quality points. The GPA it calculates in this spreadsheet should be the same as what you see in AppleNet. I've cut that off on the screen right here, but in AppleNet, you will see your GPA in there. This calculation should be correct. So let me back up here a second. Let's pretend that this student that we're looking at here had previously had 15 hours worth of A's. So we know right now that if you had 15 hours worth of B's in this term and 15 hours worth of A's in the previous term, your GPA should be 3.5, right? All A's would be 4.0, all B's are 3.0. So if we take a look at this and say that this student had 60 quality points coming in with 15 GPA hours, that's a 4.0 GPA. The current term GPA is 3.0 because all B's. So their total their calculated cumulative GPA is 3.5, right? That makes total sense. But let's say that one of these grades was a D in this term. Well, obviously that's making their GPA be lower because they're going to have they have a 2.6 GPA for the term right now. This is an example of where this student could leverage this alternate grading scheme, because by clicking this button right here, what's going to happen is that the student has still earned 15 hours for the term, but the 3-credit D is going to be taken out of the GPA calculations. And so what we should see here is our GPA, our calculated cumulative GPA, is going to jump back up here a little bit. There you go, it's 3.55. Because what it's saying now for this student is that they had earned 15 hours coming into this current term, and they'd earned 12 GPA hours on their current term. So now they've earned 27 GPA hours. Understand that this student has still earned 30 hours, but only 27 of which are calculated in their GPA. Okay, that's an important thing to remember, because you might need 120, 122 hours to graduate. Whether you take the pass or the pass option here, the no credit is a little bit different here. If you take the pass option and make your grade be, in this case, a PD instead of a D, you've still earned those hours. You just haven't earned those GPA hours. Okay, so that's an important thing to keep in mind with the way this whole thing works. Now, it may be useful in this case to go ahead and take that pass option and just say you passed the course and got a D in it. Remember, employers and grad schools in the future, they won't know what grade this student got in this class. All they're going to know is they passed the class. Only internally will you see the D in there, the P and the D in there. So in AppleNet, Banner, DegreeWorks, anyone who's looking at this will see a P and a D. External sources on your official transcript will just show a P. But let's look and see. Okay, so if a student's earned 30 hours so far, let's say they need another 90 hours in order to graduate, so that'd be 120 hours. And let's pretend the student thinks they can get a 3.50 GPA from here until when they graduate. Well, even with this grade in here, this D in here, we've taken that out of the factor. We've taken this out of the equation here. The student may have a 3.51 GPA. So by clicking this in and out here, we can see down at the bottom here what choosing to pass the class as opposed to taking the actual D would do to their overall future GPA. Okay, the student had a 4.0 coming in. They earned a 3.0 for this semester. We took that D out of there. Their GPA ends up being roughly a 3.51 because of so many hours. So that's the thing to keep in mind with GPA, is that it's an average of everything you've done up to that point. So if you've earned just a few hours at Appalachian so far, your current term and whether you choose to take the pass or take the letter grade is going to have a big factor on it. However, if you're a senior right now and you've already earned 120 hours, it's going to do very little on your GPA. I encourage you to play around with this a little bit. It'll help you kind of make an informed decision about whether you want to choose the alternate grading scheme or not, based upon how many hours you've earned, how many hours you took in this semester, plus how many hours you expect to take in the future. The key thing here to remember is that, and this is according to the information from the registrar's page about how this whole thing works, is that, I'll make this a little bit bigger here, is that the grade you earn this term, whether it's a letter grade or you choose the alternate grading scheme, so the P in front of it, is that the letter grade part of the grade will still be used in determining major, minor, certificate, and prereq requirements if there's a grade requirement. Okay? So in some circumstances, if you know that you need a C for a class, but you don't want that C to count against you, you might go ahead and take the PC because the C is there and helps you get into that program, but it doesn't calculate or work against your overall GPA. If you know, for example, that you needed a C or a B or whatever for some grad school requirement, let's say you got a B in a class, but you're a 4.0 student, and you're like, I don't know if I want that B on my record because it hurts my GPA. So I'm going to take the pass option and make that be a PB instead of just a B. Well, if you have an employer or a grad school that required a B in that specific class, they're no longer seeing a B. All they're going to see is a P. So you've got to be very careful about deciding what classes you want to go ahead and do the alternate grading numbers on, because people aren't going to see what the letter grade was. Only internal sources are going to see what that grade is behind that P. All right, let's imagine that you are repeating a class right now. The calculator on here allows you to see what your GPA will be even with that repeat factored in. Let me show you an example. Let's say we have a student that had earned 15 hours coming into this current semester, 15 GPA hours, and they had 51 quality points. So this calculated GPA here would be if a student had 4 A's and 1 D. And in your current term, let's say that you're repeating that course you got a D in. And so we've got 15 credit hours again. We've got an A in a new class, an A in another new class, another A in a new class, and then you're an A in the class that you previously got a D in, okay? So if we calculate here that you are repeating this class, this A is replacing that D that you got previously, the GPA then switches over to 4.0 because it shows that you've repeated that class. Remember that if you are repeating a class right now, you may not use the pass no credit option for it. You've got to take the grade that you're getting at now, but you will be allowed to retake it in the future. So a bunch of these rules as far as how this sort of thing works is in here in terms of how you can repeat things and that sort of stuff. The last thing to really drive home for you is that the decision process for you begins April 20th and ends at May 17th at 11:59 p.m. That's when you can choose to opt in and allow these grades that you've earned to become either letter grades, which is what they're going to be by default, or if you opt in, you can do the pass or no credit option on a class, okay? So in the tool here, I've got written down how it will appear on your record. If you took a D in a class in this current semester and do the pass option, your new grade will show as a PD internally. In AppleNet, DegreeWorks, Banner, it'll show PD. On your official transcripts, however, it'll just show P, okay? Talk to your advisor, talk to faculty members that you trust in terms of what they think that you should be doing with these classes in terms of doing the pass option or no credit option. Every program is going to be a little bit different in terms of what you should be doing. And so seek their counsel to figure out what the best option is for you going forward. Good luck.